All right, let's do midweek 53. Number of irregular verbs. Remember, follow the pattern of the verb ring. So in the present, the bell will ring. In the past, it rang. And in the past participle, the bell would have rung. Remember, so it goes like the I, A, and U pattern. And then the 5 irregular verbs that create the most issues for people include do, go, run, come, and become. So if in the present you do your homework, in the past you did your homework, in the past participle you have done your homework. In the present you go to school, in the past you went to school, past participle you have gone to school. Present, you run the mile. In the past, you ran the mile. In the past participle, you have run the mile. Remember, the present and past participle match for that one. In the present, you come to class. In the past, you came to class. Past participle, you have come to class. So again, present and past participle, they match. And become is also similar. In the present, you become awesome. In the past, you became awesome. And then in the past participle, you have become awesome. So there are all those answers if you require it. I don't though, so I'm going to move on. So there's 3 pairs of verbs that create difficulty for lots of people, and those include lie, lay, sit, set, rise, and raise. So do yourself a favor, circle, star, highlight these definitions. To lie means to rest in a flat position or to be in place. To lay means to put down or to place something. The key thing here is to lay means you have to do the action to something else. It needs a direct object. Whereas to lie is more like a subject complement, where it's like just you are lying down. But lay, you lay something else down. So if you ought to lie or to lay down and rest for a while, which one should you go with? If it's just you that's chilling there, you would go with to lie. Apologies for yawning. It is getting late. So notice even though like lie is spelled the same way as like a lie, like you tell a lie you tell would be a noun, to lie would be a verb. Okay, so disregard the fact that they're spelled the exact same way, 2 different meanings. So of the 2 verbs, lie and lay, lie is the one that causes the most issues, and here's why. When you conjugate the verb, in the present tense, lie, meaning to rest, becomes lay in past tense, and past participle would be have lain. Notice the past form of lie is what? Is lay, which is the same as the present tense of lay. So to lie in the past tense can be lay. To lay in the present tense is to lay, okay? So that's why people get confused, because they're like, it's the same word, it's just different meanings, and yeah, it sucks. I'm not gonna lie, it sucks. So if it helps, use these rhymes to remember the forms of this verb. Yesterday in bed he lay, in pain. I need caffeine. In pain he has lain. So the past participle of lie is what? Is have lain, which I know doesn't sound like a real word. I know, but grammatically, yes, it is. The reason why it doesn't sound like a real word is because most people don't say it correctly. Informally, they say it like laid down, which is why things get confusing. So in the present, you lie down, don't lie in the sun, the rug lies on the floor, your letter is lying on the desk. So they're all just chilling there. They're resting in place. So I asked Mother to blank down, but she was already blanking down. So I asked Mother to lie down, but she was already what? She was already lying, L-Y-I-N-G, down. So again, even though it's spelled the same way as like telling a lie, it has different meaning. Yesterday I lay in bed until noon. Dad lay back in his chair and took a nap. The food lay on the table all day. So we know lay is the past form of what verb? Of lie. We have present, then past. So then for the past participle, she has lain in bed most of the day. The dog must have lain down in the mud. This rug has lain there for years. So the past participle of lie that needs to be used after any form of have or be, of course, is lain. Have lain. Okay? So fill in the missing forms of the verb lie. In the present, something will lie in place. In the past, it lay, L-A-Y. In the past participle, it has lain, L-A-I-N. Okay? Now again, by definition, to lay means to put down or to place something else. So you lay a book on the table, you lay money on the counter, you lay a package on the floor, you do it to another object. It requires that direct object. So the conjugation for lay is not as challenging as lie. In the present, you lay, meaning to put. In the past, you laid. In the past participle, you have laid. So notice the past and past participle forms. They are alike or different. They are alike. They're the exact same word. So use the verb lay only when the sentence tells us what was being laid or put somewhere. Okay? So if George had laid his cards on the table, what was being put down on the table? His cards. So if the dishes were laid on the sink, what were laid on the sink? The subject of dishes. Okay, so something else had to be put down. Alright, now do yourselves a favor. Circle, star, highlight this, okay? Because seeing the conjugations of the verbs right next to each other is really the best way to go about choosing which verb is correct. That will make more sense in a second. So, in the present, lie, meaning to rest. In the past, you lay. Past participle, you have lain. In the present, you lay, meaning to put down something. In the past, you laid it down. The past participle, you have laid it down. So notice the word laid is never a form of the verb lie, meaning to rest. So would you ever use the word laid to mean that you rested, like I laid down for a nap? Formally, grammatically, no. It would be considered incorrect. Informally, you will hear this a lot, but that's just because people haven't been taught that it's incorrect. Okay? So, have lain down for, I have lain down for a nap would be the correct, not I have laid down for a nap, even though you don't normally hear it that way, unfortunately. So, this is another one of those cases where you can't necessarily trust what sounds right just because we've been raised to hear it wrong. So circle the correct verbs. Notice the two sentences are parallel, so therefore they require the same verb. So, the tired travelers lay... Oh, God, I need caffeine. Sorry. The tired travelers lay or laid in bed all morning. Okay, so if they are just resting there in the past tense, so to rest, past tense means lay. They lay in bed all morning. My missing wallet lay or laid in the snow all winter. So again, it's just resting there. To rest, past tense means lay. It lay in the snow all winter. So, conjugating, right? Present tense, lay, meaning to put. Past tense becomes laid, L-A-I-D. And the past participle, same thing, have laid, L-A-I-D. So circle the correct forms of lie and lay, okay? Lay or lie your books aside and lay or lie down to rest for a while. So, this first one, we know it's being done to something else, right? You're putting your books aside. So, if you think put in the past tense would be, or sorry, present tense. Put, so to put, right there. Which one is the present tense one? Lay. So lay your books aside and lay or lie down to rest for a while. So you are just like chilling, you are resting. So present tense, to rest means lie down. So lay your books aside, lie down for a while. So again, when you see these next to each other, it really does help because you can just think, okay, tense and then definition. Which one should you go with? So let's try this one. I laid or lay awake trying to recall where I had lain or laid my receipt. So I laid or lay. Okay, so both of those are past tense choices. So which one means that you're just like resting there? You lay awake, trying to recall where I had lain or laid my receipt. Alright, so had is the key thing here, right? Which means past participle. So if you put your receipt somewhere else, to put would mean laid, right? L-A-I-D. So try this next one. Your books will lay or lie there until you lay or lie them somewhere else. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a second to think for this. Which one should you go with? So your books are going to be resting there. Okay, so rest present tense means lie until you lay or lie them somewhere else. You are putting them somewhere else. So you lay them somewhere else. If it helps, try using rest and put as your definitions when you say lay or lie. Whichever one will make the logical sense would help you with like choosing the verb correctly. Lay and lie is probably the most tricky out of all the pairs, honestly. The other ones are not too bad. So mother later lay her glasses where she had usually laid or lain them. So she put her glasses. So which one is put in the past tense? To put, laid. So she laid her glasses where she had, keyword here, so past participle, had usually put or rest them where she put them. So once again, laid. My pen has lain or laid on the desk ever since I lay or laid it there. So has, right, means past participle. So my pen has rested on the desk or my pen has put on the desk. My pen has rested, right? So to rest, past participle, means has lain on the desk ever since I lay or laid it there. So I put or rested there. I put it there, right? It's not like resting. So to put, again, with the have, so I laid it there. Okay? Like I said, lay and lie, probably the trickiest of them. The other ones, not too bad. So speaking of the other ones, circles to highlight. To sit and to set. To sit means to take a sitting position or to be in place. To set means to place something. And again, it's kind of like lay, where you put something down, you place it somewhere else. So you always set something. You set a pan on the stove, a glass on the table, a box on the floor, whatever the case may be, you're doing it to something else. So I set the pie on the windowsill to cool. We know set is correct use because what was put on the windowsill? The pie, right? So again, answers if you require them. So after you set something, it sits there until you set it somewhere else. So I blank a chair on the porch so that Dad could blank in the sun. So I'm putting the chair on the porch so that Dad can rest in the sun. What would the verbs be? I set a chair on the porch so that Dad could sit in the sun. So again, circles to highlight for the conjugations. In the present, you sit. In the past, you sat. Past participle, you have sat. Versus the present, set, meaning to place. The past, you set. The past participle, have set. So the verbs whose three forms are all alike, of course, that one part verb would be set, right? Because present, past, past participle, it's all the same word. So, don't what the packages where someone might blank on them. Don't place or don't sit. Don't set. Don't S-E-T the package where someone might what on it? Might sit on it. Like I said, sit, set, not as bad. So Tim sat or sat down where Mrs. Grow had set or sat the biggest piece of cake. So is he putting something down, or is he just resting his butt? He is resting his butt. So he sat down where Mrs. Grower had. She's doing it to cake, so she set the piece of cake. Why would anyone want to sit or set where George sat or sat? Why would anyone want to sit where George sat? Sorry, I'm turning my phone on silent so you guys can't hear all the messages people are sending me. Surely they're annoying, because they're annoying me. Gosh darn it, go away. Alright, so the box was still setting or sitting where I had set or sat it. So if it's still resting there, it is still sitting where I had put it. So I had set it. Okay? Not too bad, right? Not nearly as bad as lie and lay. The last ones, though, to rise and to raise. So circle star, highlight those. To rise means to go up or to get up. Like you're physically getting your body up, or something is physically going up. To raise means to make something else rise or to lift up something else. So just like with to lay or to like set, you have to do it to something else. So we always raise something, whether it be a cover, cloud of dust, a window, whatever it is that you are raising as a result of our action. The cover, the window, or the cloud of dust raises or rises. It rises, right? Because it does it to itself. So the conjugations to circles are highlight. In the present, rise, meaning to get up. In the past, you rose. In the past participle, you have risen. Versus in the present, you raise, like you lift something else. In the past, you raised it. In the past participle, you have raised it. So again, past and past participle, they match each other with raise. So be sure to blank when I blank my hand. Okay, so is this be sure to get up or to lift something else? It is to get up. So be sure to rise when I what my hand? I'm lifting it up, lifting up my hand, so I raise my hand. And food prices had risen or rose because of the severe drought. Alright, well, first clue here is had, so we know we're looking at past participle. So either the food prices physically got up or they were lifted. And that would be have risen, right? Why is that? Because they're lifting themselves. It's not like something else is lifting it. So they have risen because of the severe drought. Okay, so as the water flows into the lock, the ship raises or rises. Okay, so if it's doing it to itself, it rises. This raised or rose a problem that never had arose or arisen before. Okay, so it did it to something else, so it raised a problem that had never arisen before. And although prices rose or raised, my salary didn't raise or rise. So although prices rose, right, because they did it to themselves, my salary didn't, again, to itself, didn't rise. Okay? So it helps to have the definitions next to it sometimes. Then that's just going to be a pure memorization thing, honestly. But definitely when you guys are doing the worksheet, keep this midweek next to you so you can really glance at the definitions as you do it. So 2 forms of lie and lay, sit, set, rise, and raise are needed in each sentence. You're going to complete each word, remembering not to use any form of lay, set, or raise unless the sentence tells you to what the action is done. So the first one is lie and lay. Blank down and I'll blank a cold cloth on your forehead. So which one means like you're resting down? Lie. So lie down and I'll put a cold cloth on your forehead, right? Because it's going to be the direct object with cloth. So you lay a cold cloth on your forehead. Same thing with lay and lie. Christine blank her beach towel on the sand and down for a nap. Okay, so she put down the beach towel. Let's do it in past tense. She laid her beach towel on the sand and lay down for a nap. So it's laid, L-A-I-D, and then lay, L-A-Y. Okay? And again, like I said, it really does help to have the definitions next to you for this. Alright, 3 more with lie and lay. Judy's coat has blank on that chair ever since she blanked it there. Key word here, remember as always, is has. So if it's just been resting on that chair, we would say it has lain, L-A-I-N, on that chair ever since she put it there. So that would be has laid, L-A-I-D, it there. Why would anyone blank a glass where Ellen has blank it? Why would anyone put a glass, right? So that would be lay, L-A-Y, a glass where Ellen has being my keyword here, has put it, has laid, L-A-I-D it. Mother blank awake wondering where she had blank her diamond ring. Alright, so she's resting in the past tense, resting awake. She lay, L-A-Y, awake, wondering where she had put in the past tense, past participle tense, because it had, where she had laid, L-A-I-D. Again, lay and lie, probably the hardest of the 3 sets. Okay, so the next 3 are sit and set. Aunt Karen blanked the biggest piece of pie at the place where Ron would blank. So Aunt Karen rested the piece of pie. So she set, S-E-T, the biggest piece of pie at the place where Ron would plop his butt. So he would sit. Our guests blanked down before we had even blanked the table. So again, they're putting their butts down. So they sat, past tense, down before we had even set the table. And I blanked my chair under a tree to avoid blank in the hot sun. So putting the chair, right? So I set, S-E-T, my chair under a tree to avoid what in the hot sun? Avoid sitting in the hot sun. And last one's rise and raise. Although our costs have blanked considerably, we have not blanked our prices. So although our costs have, keyword here, participle, have risen considerably, right? They have gone up by themselves, but we have not raised, R-A-I-S-E-D, our prices, because we didn't do it to them, they did it to themselves. Gloria blanked the cover to see if the dough had blank. So she did it to the cover. So she raised the cover to see if the dough had what? Had risen, right? Because it did it to itself. And just as they blanked to leave, Carmen blanked another problem. So just as they rose, they got up to leave, Carmen brought up another problem. So he, or she, I guess, is the correct gender, I don't know, whatever, raised a problem. Okay? Now, like I said, these can get tricky, and since this is obviously over a video, I can't judge how fast I went through that for you, if it was too fast or too slow. If it was too slow, apologies, but if it was too fast, also apologies, I guess. They're tricky. So with the worksheet, like I said, make sure you have this PowerPoint next to you. Everything I told you to circle, star, highlight should help. Okay? But if you still have questions after that, go ahead, just let me know. In the meantime, let's go to the worksheet.